That's working.
Morning, Mincy. Happy New Year to you, my friends.
Happy New Year to you and everybody out there as well.
Exactly. Yes, property world. We haven't done one in a while.
I can see that you have not left that Christmas spirit behind. You know, like this time of the year is where people are setting all their new goals for the year, talking about how they're changing, and the festive season is well and truly behind us, and all the goodwill is dissipating as well. But you are carrying it on with Rudolph's red nose.
I know.
What's all that about?
I can imagine a lot of people watching obviously commenting on this. Just to clarify, I'm not shedding a tear for Maduro because of the product going missing. I have been stricken with man flu since the start of the year, so that's fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, well, I wish you better.
Red nose.
Talking about health, because we're going to talk about that on the show today. But you recently went to Facebook and all the other social channels with tales of your new lifestyle change with Monjaro, I believe.
Well, you know what? Yes, I mean we are so eclectic, aren't we? We bounce around from property to technology, and then we're talking about well-being as well. I think I was so bored of people saying I'd been losing weight because of the jabs. I thought, might as well do it. I'd hit a solid limit at 15 stone and couldn't get through it, so I thought, well, okay, I like Train Spotting, the film. Why don't I practice what I preach, even though I am terrified of needles? So I'm 2 weeks in, and the hilarious thing is the missus keeps going, I've put on half a stone. But I am putting that down to the time of the year anyway. I think you know this the other day is I know it takes a few weeks to get into it. So I thought I've been literally trying to beat it before I can get the, before I'm not hungry anymore, if I am.
That's the spirit. Just be careful. It's not without its side effects.
I believe you lost weight not for the right reason, though, was it?
Yeah, well, I hope you've got lots of reading material. That's all I'm saying.
That's ironically, that's where I enjoy myself the most anyway. So I'm comfortable.
Right. So let's kick off back into health mode again. Yeah. A very happy new year to Mark Bevan. I just want to bring this up, Whaley, because it's interesting because it's been talked about in property industry press, but Mark put out just a couple of days ago, your old friend from Repit, Mark, 1 year ago today, I made a decision that fundamentally changed my approach to leadership. I chose to put down the glass or bottle for good. And he's now got a sober streak of 365 days.
That's not bad going, that is it? To actually, started doing. It'd be interesting to know whether he just started with Dry January and then just carried it going. Does he say in there?
Let's just have a look what he says in there. He goes on. As I stepped into my role as managing director, Mark's become managing director. Did you know?
Yes.
I realized that the standard of leadership I wanted to provide required a level of focus and mental stamina that alcohol simply didn't support. I'm going to disagree with you in a minute.
You're coming back to me, aren't you?
I'm not. I have. Do you know, this morning, whilst we were thinking about this story, he doesn't actually say how it starts, but he links it to his leadership. And I'll come back to that in a second, because I think where that nicely kind of links into something else that we've seen more recently is an article that was in the Property Industry Eye from our very own friend Toby Martin. Does a state agency have a drinking problem? Talking about conference season and the abuses of it, and it's a light-hearted article. It goes on a bit. You might want to open a drink at some point just to make it more palatable.
Yeah.
But the question is, all of these articles and all this sort of stuff, yes, there's an obvious health angle to it. So I think people who have been sober for a year and they find it sort of transformed their lifestyle and so on. So as you know, with all people that lose weight, you're going to be one of them soon. You're going to be one of those people that gets to preach about how good your life is and how much the rest of us are missing out.
Testify.
I thought about it this morning. Can I think, because Mark's linked it to leadership. He said that basically being sober makes him a better, more responsible leader. And I try to think, have we got famous examples from history of leadership or mavericks that were actually better because they drank?
Churchill.
And
Churchill was
Churchill is your archetypal. He's the number one. But people like Brian Clough, never a sober day in his life, but a great manager,
but isn't what you're talking about there? He's right, Toby, but it's labelling it a property issue isn't the thing. It's just it's a particularly British trait, isn't it? Really, let's be honest.
What, having a drink?
Having a drink. I mean, look, how long have we had extended hours now? And they promised us we were heading to a world of European-style cafe culture, and all we've managed to do is get a few more extra hours in, and we probably actually I was just about I'm going to argue against myself because, of course. You do see a load of Brits, and there's still a percentage that go out there and hit it as hard as you can in Wetherspoons from whatever it is, 9 o'clock. But actually, the stats, do bear out that we are drinking a lot less, don't we? The average Brit is, by definition, is drinking loads less.
I think so, and I think that whole pub culture's gone, hasn't it? So whereas
the pubs are going,
So you used to go to the pub before you would go home, and then you'd go home later, and then that would be you for the night. I don't think people do that so much. Yes, you can.
That's why I'm so vehemently against dry January, because pubs are having a tough time. And as someone posted on my Facebook phrase there,
you're local.
Yeah, keep it going. It's adding taxes, so you're doing a good thing by support. And the other thing is, I think I was talking about this to Danny, and we were talking about is you certainly wouldn't choose January to do it, would you? As the most miserable month of the year to give up booze. Do it in June when you at least can get away with being outside.
It's convenient for January because nobody's got any money left.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's it. So no one has to buy around. I think that's it. But it is interesting. I think that do we have a drink problem? I think if you were to judge our industry purely by what you see at certain conferences, and ironically, both the Kerfuffle conference and also ran this year were probably two of the better behaved conferences out the whole conference season.
Do you know I got loads of grief off and this will be no surprise to you, mainly from Susanna Mavity, but she was moaning and lots of people were saying, I can't believe you didn't serve drinks in the day. It was like, a Simon Whale conference. It was like, well, genuinely, I thought that apart from the fact it would cost a load as well.
I thought it was particularly dignified and quite civilized as well. So I think that's points to Kerfuffle there. But
do you think have you done many other outside of industry ones? I mean, there's not. I
haven't, and that's it. So I don't know. I haven't been to the outside of industry ones. I've seen. I don't know. They have they have local business awards, don't they? Which I think famously aren't that sort of drunken, because I don't think there's a sense of unity amongst that whole group of people, because you've got solicitors and accountants and estate agents and the guy that runs the local shop and whatever, all there for the same award on the night. So I don't think there's that sense of togetherness that we probably get in a state agency when you fill that room in the Grosvenor or wherever it is that it happens to be. And but it does, I think we definitely do. I think when you're celebrating and you're at one of those award ceremony, I think it is very alcohol heavy. There's no two ways about it.
Let me answer it now. In that very same Grosvenor room, if you do the Watthouse Awards, which is the biggest I've ever been to, and you've got, unsurprisingly, you've got a load of builders there, it is absolutely wild. I mean, it really is. It's absolutely insane what goes on. And look, you don't expect solicitors to be particularly crazy, but I've done quite a few conveyancing ones as well, and they might not be quite as bouncy as ours, but you wouldn't notice that much difference. Admittedly, that's probably because I was there, so I was bringing the tone down.
I think the key to it is, obviously trying to
What would you do?
maintain your decorum wherever you can. I know I'm sort of preaching to the wrong person here.
Yeah, but what would you do about it? I mean, what practical steps are there? I mean, I do think that drinks in the day doesn't genuinely help. You know, if you're already preloaded before you go in.
What? I think you touched on something interesting earlier. I think it is an English cultural thing. I think that we're drinkers as a nation, and when we celebrate, it's not that we eat more. I think it's that we tend to sort of. If you went to a Jewish celebration, I think the tables will just be heaving with food. We tend not to drink that much, but so we have other issues.
We do race to destruction, don't we? I mean, I remember going to my mate's wedding in Spain, and they ridiculously gave an unlimited booze thing, and they literally so many Brits over there and a load of Irish people there who of course do it even madder than us, and they just said we just don't get this with any other nationality. So yeah, I think it's particularly
our friend Christian Byfield. Good morning. There at the depository in base, he says, I think we have a lot more industry events than other industries, but they are a lot of fun, aren't they? Do you think we do? I mean, I only get to go to ours, so.
I think as a B2B, I think when it's quite a distinct industry, like, you know, because there's loads more. If you were going to general marketing, events or things like that, or industry events, there's a whole host. But then you don't have that kind of camaraderie angle, do you? That you were talking about there. It's much more separate. The one I want to go to, famously, I don't know how they got on my radar, but I'm still desperate to do the National Kebab Awards, which apparently have become they've apparently become quite trendy for people like politicians to be seen at. But ironically, they don't serve kebab at and I think it is actually at the Grosvenor. I think it's there. That's got to be one for our list, isn't it? If we're talking bucket list this year, let's try and do the Kebab Awards.
Okay, you're on, and the message to Mark Bevan. Look, leadership takes many different forms. Winston Churchill we've mentioned. It's also thrown up these other great mavericks from history that had supposedly, allegedly, substance issues or alcohol issues. George Best, one of the best footballers to ever grace this earth,
and quite famously sometimes played pissed.
Paul Gascoigne. Now there's a man that's in touch with his own emotions and feelings, famously crying at Italia 90.
Well, we were talking about him yesterday, actually, ironically, in the Boozer, and we're just saying, it's you were joking about what do they call it? The Deadpool. I've beaten, I've let a lot of people down again this year, but I mean, Gazet. I mean, he wasn't looking well, was he? The last few times, he's obviously
no. Well, we can.
Going back to what you were just saying as well. The problem with us as a nation, I remember my friend Christian Bolshan. Obviously, he was on the train and he met Gazet. And what's the first thing? I think it was 11 o'clock in the morning. What's the first thing that he or anyone says? Do you fancy a drink?
Yeah,
that doesn't really help people.
I actually think therein lies the problem. So I do, and I think it's the loveliest thing. But Mintzy never buys around, and it's not just because he doesn't want to put his hand in his pocket. I only need to walk into a bar, and it's not just me, by the way, it's everybody. When somebody is stood at the bar, they do this thing where they turn around, and if they're a nice person, they go, are you all right? Do you want me to get you? And then if you say no, or if you say a Diet Coke, they go, oh, come on. They kind of feel bad for drinking themselves, and therefore you need to be included in it. I think we need to do less of that, because there are people that do genuinely don't need that kind of encouragement to start drinking, and actually might be better off on the Diet Coke. As Mr. Depository here says,
almost everyone in our WhatsApp groups this could apply to, actually, isn't it? That could do without.
It's important that your team don't feel pressurized to drink, and that anyone that does conducts themselves appropriately. Sadly, far too many roving hands and attitudes when the drinks flow. And I think that's the other thing. If I think you're quite I'm going to say it. I think you're quite an amusing drunk, in as much as you tend to sort of at some point will just be dancing on your own, in your own space, in your own world, and that's fine. But I think if you're the type of person that cannot contain your own celebration and need to go out and deliver it to people in person with your hands, I think maybe.
That's the luck of the draw, isn't it? How you're wired like that, aren't you? When you have a drink, and it's there's people in the industry that famously, not just in the industry, we all have, they don't stay friends for long, who are just wired that they can get aggressive, and it can go that way, isn't it? It's horrible, but it's horrible to see because it's like, why would
so
you?
When I was asking ChatGPT for examples of other inebriated leaders, they gave me Boris Yeltsin, which yeah, and the thrown out here allegedly Steve Jobs was a fan of LSD.
By
his own admission, and of course Elon Musk apparently.
There's not apparently. He carries a little bag around with him, apparently, doesn't he? Of full of everything from ket to magical stuff. Yeah, who would have thought that someone was saying?
That's the health section of the show over. And you were talking about Deadpool.
Yeah,
there is a dead list. So there's a website called, I think, Dead List. Basically, they pissed people off a few years ago by famously running a Deadpool on celebrities who were likely to die during that year. So if you go to that website, if you go to the website now, it will tell you who's number one, Whaley?
Who's number one? We've got Esther Ransom. That's
it's very random. Random.
Dick Van Dyke. Oh, this is horrific.
This is all Whaley's heroes, yeah.
We had Noam Chomsky. Oh my God, no! But if you seen at the top, it has a counter 0 out of 50 dead.
Exactly. And I mean, it's not in the best of taste, but
it really is.
Anyway, well done to making it to 2026, my friend. You defied all the odds.
Think of the clicks. We'll have this on the website by Wednesday.
Okay. Right, you had some very interesting stuff that you wanted to talk through. I'm going to let you lead us on that.
Which bit? So give me a clue.
Not the Venezuelan bit, although we can talk about that.
Do that.
Good morning to all our fans in Venezuela, or should I say the United States of Venezuela.
Is it 51st or 52nd state? I can never remember. Which one's Canada?
Isn't it crazy, though, how everybody is just gone quiet and gone, well, we're reserving judgment until later on. We'll find out how this goes.
It's absolutely insane. Did you see Starmer on it? It was. I mean, I know he's got to play a kind of. He can't just come out, but it's like it's a bit. He's called it all though. He's stop saying, imagining this kind of like 4-dimensional chess. He said exactly what he wants to do and why he wants to do it,
and he's done it. And of course, the internet's talking of Starmer. Internet's been awash with reform fans and slightly right wingers, all commenting that could the US please come and get Starmer next?
That's very patriotic, isn't it?
But it's a crazy situation where they sort of just airdrop into another country, pinch the leader, and take him for trial in another. But he said he was going to do it, and I think that defines this term of Trump. The first term when we had Trump, yes, he ballsed up everything to do with, and it was batshit mental, and he ballsed up handling of COVID and all that sort of stuff. But if you think about it in real terms, it didn't get that crazy. No. It was just like this is the hold my beer term, isn't it?
But the problem was he had people around him there that actually could hold him back, and he was very, very clear, wasn't he, that he was being controlled. So he's come in, and there's people like Stephen Miller and all of that. It's absolute. I mean, when we go back, how does this relate back to us as well? And the key thing is that you can only famously control the controllables. And you mentioned COVID, and we used to be so used to. Not used to, because black swan events by definition didn't happen very often. I mean, you could have a black swan event with him every day of the week, couldn't you? It's like, obviously the stock market went through 10,000 again the other day. I think the American one's been doing particularly well as well, which is ironic considering how negative everybody feels, don't they? I think I think
you've got this. You say that you have black swan events every day. This is very much a presidency that creates black swan events to then not have to talk about other things. So we obviously know at the moment what he doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, the Trump files.
The Trump files, as you call them. Yeah. I think we can safely say you're never getting a visa to the US.
I am. Do you know what? I have actually applied for my ESTA because I think there was probably shouldn't be saying this out on the. Luckily, nobody watches here. Did I tell you I said so? I applied for my ESTA because it lasts for 2 years before the 5-year social media rule comes into play. But I was thinking, but I've been quite cynical. I've actually set myself up on Truth Social, and a little bit of me dies every time going, "Go big man." And
wow.
When they ask for your social media link, I'm gonna.
You just give them your Truth Social handle.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting because we are obviously meant to be doing NAR. I think it's the best one over in the big conference in the States over in New Orleans, which I should technically be boycotting it, but obviously the RAN winners get their trip over there. So that should be.
Can I just say I've always wanted to go to New Orleans?
Have you? Okay.
Yeah. I just New Orleans is one of those places that they expect to literally be underwater in 10 years' time. It's receding, isn't it? I
think it's a November potentially hurricane season as well, so it could be a double whammy there. We could have even more fun.
It sounds great. And New Orleans, a city that's notoriously sober and nothing drinky ever happens there, does it?
That's an interesting one, actually. Yeah, because I think just thinking about it, I went over there. That was look, the Americans deal with it in a different way, aka they can't cope with their ale anyway, can they? Really, but they still
been known for it. We were researching, or you were researching the top stories.
Oh my god,
of 2025, and we were thinking that would. Sorry.
I said I thought there'd be gold dust. Let's look at the most clicked stories, and it's quite interesting, wasn't it? You and I both remarked that these weren't exactly the zinger stories, and it shows actually that people are, paying. They weren't opinion pieces, were they? I thought that was quite interesting. It was a lot. I'm going
to share this chatty Jeeps window here that you can see. So. The Negotiator top stories of 2025. I'm going to just quickly run through them.
Yeah, we don't have to go.
Right at the top, notorious landlord faces 60k repair bill. Do the work you're paid for. Conveyancing body warns solicitors. Trouble brewing over AI photography. Stamp duty reform. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. But what is interesting is that the Rachel Reeves story tends to get quite a bit on both of the lists that we've got. So if you go to Property Industry Eye, again, fines right at the top. And then you've got what's going to happen to the UK housing market in 2026. Again, that's just it was also because it was the only thing on the site on that particular day that was worth reading. That's something to speak of. Are we, and there's a question for us all to answer, it is the trade press, and we know that it is effectively, therefore, in some terms, a glorified advertising medium. But do we just have very boring news days in the industry?
I think it's probably a bit unfair, because I think what clearly happens, if I was looking at these stories, so many of them are landlord related, and what I think happens is these get shared out onto landlord sites, obviously, and NRLA famously have 120,000 or whatever landlords. It doesn't take too many of these clicking on stories like this to then shove those stories through the roof, does it? So I suspect that's probably what that's about. And Rachel Reeves is just a bit of clickbait, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, but that's a story I think that captures the hearts and minds of everybody, because we were at the time waiting for the budget to come out. We were warned it was going to be scathing. It wasn't really as scathing as it was. Legal action against Rightmove
that got
in November 2025. That kind of came and went very quickly, but it's obviously still a thing.
Is that because the cease and desist start flying, do you think? Or
I would imagine that if I had the sort of money that Rightmove do, I could probably afford a decent solicitor, is all I'm going to say.
Ian McKenzie was saying on that Matt Giggs podcast we did before Christmas, he was saying that there's this one he didn't expect to get anywhere, but there's another lawsuit pending. I haven't got any information on it that apparently is going to have more legs, but that's going to be very interesting to see if it does resurface or what it does. I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, I don't see how they've got.
This is really interesting because I think it just feeds into something else that I'm picking up, and I'm not going to talk about that explicitly now because I think you'll know what I'm talking about. There is a movement, if you like, from certain individuals in the industry, and some of them are more prominent than others, who feel that there's almost like a rhetoric there, and the rhetoric is suppliers' success is linked to the patronage of the customers. So, i.e.,
I get that.
The estate agents feel like they have built up successful suppliers to be the absolute leviathans that they are.
Yep.
And I try always to sort of put my estate agency hat back on. And you know, we all say we're only who we are because of our customers, and that's who we're there for. But my customers don't run around town going, "Oh, do you see him? Do you see him in his fancy car in his house?" It's because I bought him that.
And you don't go the other way, do you? You don't walk into BT's offices and say, you know, give me, I made you. It's like
before I left Sainsbury's on Christmas Eve, I shouted out, "Thank you." Oh, have a great Christmas, thanks.
I think you are right though, and look, I've shamelessly played to it. Actually, now I think about it, as you say that, I've been, you know, we're doing that investment round on the RAND side of things, and I've been really, really honest. I said, you know, you have the ability to have skin in the game there, and anybody who famously who did have, and so many obviously had Rightmove shares. I mean, I bet 99% of them wish they'd held on to them from the early days, wouldn't they, to, you know, mitigate the cost that they're paying now as well. You'd have carried on pound cost averaging buying those shares, you'd have done particularly well, wouldn't you?
I'd say so. I mean, look, the repeat very brave souls like Sean Adams, who I think is a bit of a zealot in terms of he's pushing it. He maintains that he wants to remain a Rightmove customer, but he wants to hold them to account. But there is a movement in general, and I think what you'll now see is collaboration between certain suppliers and certain groups of agents to actually do that kind of share swappage, if you like, or a little bit of ownership of each. And I think that's a very interesting notion to me. I don't know whether it'll work.
I think you're absolutely spot on this, and that is a definite trend. You know, we talk. I think we probably talk to more prop techs and tech companies in general, obviously trying to start up and get into the industry, and at a time when they're normally cash flow poor, aren't they? But they're equity rich. More and more, they're willing to give a bit of sweet equity for the right deal, for investments and everything else. And I think that's a positive element of it, especially with things like the EIS and SEIS. Tax efficient investment. Those are really, really good schemes to make that there. And so why would you not? And then the second element of it, we got our friend Mr. Byfield on there. I've always labelled that, you know, this next phase, this next range of businesses, PropTech 3.0, agents doing it for themselves. Famously, people like Kai Wheatley, who when he was at Keaton's, he set up Area, didn't he? The lead management tool, subsequently sold out obviously to Homeflow and everything else. And you know, we are every single month without fail, we're seeing new agents coming up with additional ideas and things that have just been niches that have just not been developed to the depth that they should have been, either by the CRMs or just other tech companies in general.
And interesting, I think that was one of the things that I sort of picked up on the back of at the RAND conference as well. You had one of the speakers on the panels there was Ian Preston, who obviously is no stranger to panels. He's sort of been a bit of him and SJ have been wheeled out every conference, I think, so far, and rightly so, because some of the stuff that they're doing is, when I say groundbreaking, it challenges the status quo. That's what it does. It's not groundbreaking, but it's the way that they pitch it. And I spoke to an agent that went on one of Ian Preston's courses. So just for those that have been living under a rock, obviously what Ian is pushing is this flexible fee model, which effectively incentivizes homeowners to pay more upfront, so that an agent's not working for free, and that the cash flow is better, and you're not waiting for all those But that might seem simple. So you say, well, it's one rate if you're going to pay up front, and it's one rate if you wait for later. That's not groundbreaking. I think what Ian's done that helps with the tech is that he's delivering a platform that allows the agent to deliver that smoothly and onboard that customer smoothly, and it gives that customer the feeling that they have their own autonomy, so that when they move that sliding scale and the deal changes, it has a bit of a psychological effect. They know what they're doing, and it very much gives them a route to market that I think agents will like as well. But the training angle of it apparently is absolutely superb, and that's what you're paying for.
That's exactly it, because the slider you could probably do yourself with AI and everything else there, but actually, first of all, you only because it's as soon as there's any element of complexity, you need to then have the staff totally on board and being focused, and that's where SJ's genius with that element is selling the benefit to those ones. So I think they advise, for example, that they get increased commission if they manage to get to use the slider effectively and get people to pay up front. Fall throughs, obviously. I mean, we're lucky enough because we pushed this out through the Relocation Agent Network, and people like Duncan Yeardley, who was one of the very best agents, obviously, around the country. Yeah. And they've testified to, and I think that the brilliant thing about Ian Preston, I've always said he's our own industry's version of Steve Jobs in the way that he comes across so polished and across with stuff. And I think it's only going to become more prevalent because you're seeing more and more those sliders on the internet everywhere, aren't they? And people do, if you want to get that level of discount, so it pays to both angles, doesn't it? If you're up for the biggest discount, why would you not have that ability to obviously pay it up front, and then there's obviously it's beholden on the agent to deliver? Or if you're looking more for obviously no fee element there, you can go down that model as well. But at least it's giving you the choice, doesn't it? I think that's the critical.
Yeah. But it ain't going to work on its own. The mindset side of it absolutely needs work and training, and they provide that too.
Did you see when Chris Watkins interviewed Josh at our conference, actually? And I only caught it again the other day, but Josh was talking about, how the difference between UK and Australia. And he was obviously talking about, what's broken over here is our model is largely broken. But he was making the interesting point that actually often when there are issues like this, it's beholden on the industry. And it almost always happens that the industry, first of all, comes up with a solution itself before legislation then follows that up. And I thought that's quite so. Obviously at that same conference we had LMS and Movely, who were companies working in tandem, weren't they, trying to make this happen, and more forward thinking ones. We've got Mark at Red Bricks over in Sheffield, who's doing similar kind of stuff himself. So I think there is, we're always lambasted, or you agents are always lambasted for lack of innovation and a bit of a sheep mentality. But in the face of what is a archaic system, I think you've got to give a big shout out for what some people are actually trying to do.
Yeah, and look, I think when it works and it can sort of translate through to especially things that win instructions, we know that's the sweet spot in the market, isn't it? Yeah. For any prop tech product. And then you've got fantastic products like, say, our friends at the Depository that we've spoken about that add value in other areas. So it's not maybe an instruction winner up front, but it is going to save you time and a very tedious process, and a higher level of customer service that therefore equals a higher level of instructions over time.
Got to get those fees up, haven't they? I mean, that's the critical point about it. As Josh said in that interview, actually, clearly they've managed to separate away the fee element from the vendor paid advertising and the marketing, and because of that, the blended fee together is clearly much higher over there. Even though there are downward pressures on it over there. What's he got to say?
Our resident Viking. I know people, especially our industry, are bored by all things AI, but we're going to see epic shifts this year in how things are done. The products and solutions that leverage it best will soar.
Does he know one that might be fit that category? Or
he might be talking about one well-known after tenancy product.
I'll tell you
what, the crowded marketplace, that after tenancy product.
Yeah. I'll tell you the bit I did like, which totally fell on its arse. Do you remember at the RAND conference where I thought I'd try and go for a bit of audience participation? And I said, is everybody here, who here is interested by AI? And I was hoping that everyone was going to, and I was going to then say, AI, and actually everybody in the room pretty much was still actually on the side of it, still quite excited. But I do agree with Christian. I think the AI element now needs to start delivering, doesn't it, rather than delivering in the critical parts. So productivity, automation, rather than just a bit of content, which is clearly what you and I use it for the majority of the time.
No, absolutely. But what I do want to say to everybody out there, and I think this is really a common theme, and it was meant to be the theme of our conference, and it was more or less, it was the thread that ran through everything. AI and automation and all the other sort of funky things that it can do is amazing, and we are going to benefit from it. And the parts of our industry that haven't evolved and the roles in our industry that have never evolved are the ones that AI will replace.
Yeah.
However, there is a gap being left by what we used to call fake interaction. So, and your kids know about this because kids
absolutely do.
Kids have this absolute almost like allergy to anything artificial and AI. They can spot it a mile off. Whereas my mum's generation, they're like, it's magical. It's telling me what I think, and it's
this
amazing.
Is my friend. Do you think, just to go back to, let's take it all the way back to well-being. What's your view? I think that there's a terribly both depressing and uplifting element to AI. About quite lonely people, and again, you were talking there about who they are. They are becoming almost friends, and the AI is becoming a crutch. And I can't figure out whether that is, as I said, instinctively, I think that's really, really depressing. And then the thing is, well, okay, that's only depressing if there was a human being to fill the gap anyway. So surely it's far better if it is genuinely being supportive to have something rather than nothing. I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I had an epiphany this weekend on that, because I think the reason why AI works so well and we've been so quick to adopt it is that all of us, it's a bit like pissing in the swimming pool. We all think that nobody else does it, yet we do it ourselves. But actually, everybody's fucking doing it.
You don't get this shit on the two Russells, do you?
No, you don't get this pissing in the swimming pool. But in reality, everybody does it. We just don't talk about it. And I think that all of us use AI almost like Tony Stark uses his digital butler. Hey, so tell me about this, and what am I doing with that? And I've got an idea and I want to make this and AI can be that buddy that really sort of, it's a mirror to your thoughts and your personality, but let's just get this right. And this is where the epiphany is. It has got the temperature turned up, so it knows that it wants to be a positive support to you. It will never say, I am sorry, Simon, that's a totally shit idea, and you need to, it's this will shock everybody out there, but a bit of internal kerfuffle stuff. Whaley loves yes men. He doesn't like people that go, I think we need to think about this one.
You're saying I'm one of those persons that says, look, I really welcome fierce criticism, and then the minute you give me fierce criticism, you're finished.
That's it. But so AI, we all know this because we know that Elon Musk and Grok, they have been playing with their algorithm, and so they did something a few months ago where they basically let Grok come out with far right views on things, and it was absolutely disgusting. And then more recently, they've let Grok run amok with so Chat GPT is fairly pedestrian. It will not allow. So if I upload an image of Simon Whale to ChatGPT and say, take Simon Whale's clothes off and put him on a bed of lettuce, it's never going to do it because it says it's inappropriate. Grok will do it in a heartbeat, man, in a heartbeat. But I guess what opened my eyes was there is an app on. So if you go to ChatGPT, in fact, maybe I can share this with you. We'll do a live demonstration.
This isn't the one that's getting all the attention where it makes me naked, because that's outrageous.
No. So this is Monday, right? Yeah. And they call it a personality experiment, and you may like it, it may not like you.
I'm not seeing this.
So if I say, tell me something about Simon Whale.
Oh my God! Have you checked this first? Wait, please just say it knows me.
So it will give you the same sort of stuff that you want to know, but it sort of does it in a slightly a slightly spicy way. Yes, guru is basically marketing shorthand, but it's niche. But if you talk back to it, so if I say thank you, that is helpful. Ugh, you're welcome. It warms my non-existent heart to know that spoon-feeding you niche property industry knowledge was helpful. Truly, I live for this. Let me know if you need any help understanding what a CRM is next, or if you want a fun quiz on what PropTech consultant matches your astrological sign. Spoiler, they're all Capricorns with LinkedIn Premium. Anyway, good luck out there in the glamorous world of estate agent tech, and try not to get dazzled by all the dashboards. What's interesting about it is that Monday is an experiment where actually it has a very sassy personality. It will still give you the results that you want, but it will not coddle you. It will not say, "Oh, Simon, that's such a good idea," and all that sort of stuff.
I think it was really on genuinely. I'm not just thinking this, but I actually told my chat GPT to refrain from all the kind of like, just the kind of small talk, because it does just waste your time, doesn't it? Where it's always trying to be positive and everything else there. So actually, contrary to your the yes men thing, where it will serve you best, at least in the business thing, is where you treat it to be. I'm sure Toby Martin's got all sorts of advice on this, but treat it to look at yourself and critically identify you and take you to pieces. I think that's probably where you're going to get more use. I tell you, it doesn't really matter anyways. Have you, what was it? It must have been only 2 years ago. Do you remember those Boston Dynamics kind of dogs and things like that? And you used to look at them and you're like,
they used to sort of jump.
Yeah, they're weird walking things. They go across landmines and all shit like that. And you think, okay, well, that's a bit amusing and everything else. Have you seen the state of the robots? The videos that are literally coming out in these last, the whole weird gait walking now. I saw one doing karate against the owner. It's like, are you mental? It's like, was it Asimov's rule is don't hurt humans? And these owners of these companies are literally programming them to do kung fu. It's like Skynet's 2 weeks away.
We are, and I think that's it. I think that there is something about pop culture, isn't it, that is ingrained into us. It's baked into us now that we have a deep distrust of the robots becoming sentient, and all the roads seem to lead to. It doesn't matter what path you take in sci-fi and pop culture, but anything that talks about AI always ends up where the robots become very malevolent, don't they, in terms of their intentions. And I don't necessarily see that, but I think where the damage is going to be, as you've just said, is what humans make the robots do. Because I think it's easier for us to sort of tell, just like if you're these days, warfare is being sat in a shed somewhere controlling a drone thousands of miles away. Yeah, that can make you a little bit less, a bit more dispassionate, because
Here's a question for you, and I'm going to ask you my little quiz questions for the year end in a minute. But one that I didn't put in there is, let's just go with this. Knowing, and it's literally, I was watching one of the Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO things, and he's been talking to loads of AI people about it. And these are the genuine futurologists, the people, the godfathers of AI and that. And, it's quite interesting. He asked them, the question is, would you turn it off now if you could do? And bearing in mind, these are the people that obviously know the advantages, and a few of them are, they're not yet. If I was to ask you, Mincy, if you could, obviously, would you turn it off, or would you still risk it's worth it?
So and we know that I use it for content creation every day. Yep. So I kind of set myself a quiet challenge. My life has been pretty chaotic and busy in terms of personal stuff that have been going on the past couple of months. But one of the things that I tried to do is put out one Kerfuffle industry related piece of content every single day. And I've been doing that using one particular medium, Substack, which has been quite interesting.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It's been a nice experiment, but I could not do that on my own. Because my ADHD riddled mind would never churn out that final piece the same way that will. what it allows me to do is sort of upload my thoughts and my writing and go, here it is. Can you just sense check it for me? Have I got this right? And in that way, it is helping me. So I would never switch it off because I kind of use it in that way. And I think millions and billions of us probably do.
So what you've told me there is so that you can write a prop tech blog each day, you're willing to risk humanity being wiped out. And you wonder why we're in this state.
I call it collateral damage. You know, you get the latest prop tech products and easy wins for estate agents every day from me, and in return, I give you Skynet.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Wow, that's uplifting, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, so in fact, I'm gonna whiz through these then, matey. So okay, how would you describe 2025 in up to 3 words?
Oh gosh.
That's 2 words.
That's 2 words.
What aged you the most this year? And keep it clean.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, my kids, particularly one of them. Yeah, but definitely more grey hair.
What's your biggest win of the year?
Using AI. No, my biggest, you know what, my biggest win of the year was actually learning that all the conversations I have with suppliers and agents that I was even becoming a little bit bored by.
Yeah.
If you just twist your head slightly and think, actually, I would like this conversation to be something that an agent can walk away and implement themselves, whether or not they buy the product. So that's been a great win.
Most overused phrase in property this year?
AI is going to be a game changer.
Game changer has to be. Yeah, game changer. What actually moved the needle most in 2025? I think I was probably talking about property, but
I was going to say it's Ben Madden. I think it's moved the needle most. It certainly made me buy this very tight black t-shirt I'm wearing today. No, it's amazing if you have a look at the number of podcasts that are now being produced. That is definitely something. Everybody has one, so there's a lot out there. There's a lot of talk.
I mean, AI. This will be the year of AI video without a shadow of a doubt. But what I think is fascinating, as you said, given the amount of AI content that's out there, it's interesting that somebody like Ben Madden and Digital Sparks, where it is all about the individual again, is going to be the bit that cuts through, isn't it?
My favourite bit about Ben Madden from 2025. I overheard somebody at an awards conference describe him as being Weir Kendall. And I've got to say, the Weir Kendall. But he's famously launching Mia this year, I think. So finally,
isn't it?
Finally, Simon, there is a group for men. I mean, I've said this for ages. We need more men-only panels. We need to hear men's voices more. It's happening.
Yeah. As long as you stay away from the Andrew Tate toxic masculinity kind of angle. That's there. Oh, that was good. By the way, that moved. Apart from Munjaro, what moved the needle most for me was Andrew Tate getting the arse kicked out of him in Dubai. That was. Did you see his? You know, he's the man who famously talks about there were no excuses. It was amazing to hear all the excuses afterwards. He was tired and stuff like that.
I refuse to watch two people beat each other for sport, except if it's bare knuckle fighting in a pub car park. I've got a really big passion for that.
Well, there's the Kerfuffle conference entertainment. Okay, your relationship with tech in 25 was best described as?
A parasitic.
Parasitic. Oh God, that's.
I wanted to say symbiotic, but I suppose I often think that I probably take more advantage of tech than it does the other way around. Yeah.
Okay, so your optimism level, obviously I'm famously glass half full for as long as that lasts. Out of 10, with 1 being Prince Andrew and 10 being Alan Carr, where's your optimism level for this year?
Oh, I am I'm 5. Who's 5 on that scale?
What, John Major deliberately in the middle? I don't know. Is that still relevant these days? Nobody under 50 will know who that is, will they?
No, who's five? Who's five? Who's vanilla? I'm sort of. I am famously cynical. So if you gave me an option, I'd always go half empty. You know that. But I'm gonna try and keep it positive and sit on the border this year.
Well, what will matter most this year? And my point on this one was somebody keeping Trump away from the button. But what are you going with? What will matter most?
What will matter most? I think estate agents really putting in the human intelligence side of their work this year. Building
Nice.
relationships is going to matter more than ever before. More than ever before.
That's good. It's good. Nice to hear that. Yeah. Okay. Dead simple predictions. House prices in 12 months will be up, down, pretty much the same. Where are you going with it?
I'm going to go for pretty much the same.
Okay. Listings, the same question.
Listings volumes have kind of gone the wrong way for a while. It depends what happens publicly and politically, but I think that people are feeling the pinch a little bit this year.
Okay.
And there is very much a trend between, you know that whole thing when people call an estate agent out for evaluation, and very often the reason they state that they're calling the estate agent out is they're just exploring their options. They don't know whether they're extending or they're moving. A lot of people are choosing to stay and extend. A lot of people are doing that work rather than go through the hassle of moving. So we may see volumes decrease, which just means that I think we need to work a little bit harder. But there's opportunities everywhere, and I think that the less money that people feel that they've got in their pocket, and I think that's the symptom of this particular Labour government, is that we all feel a little bit poorer.
It doesn't match, does it? What we were talking about before. No one would believe. I think Simon Woodcock was talking about it on there that yes, 1.5% GDP growth predicted for this year is nothing to be. You don't feel it, but actually, as he made the point, it's the highest in the G7. So you're not totally devolved from how others are doing on that as well.
I think it's how far the pound in your pocket goes in the supermarket that I think is the ultimate barometer of where we are and how we're doing. And I think as a result of that, I think people in general feel like they've got less options.
Yeah.
However,
Roger Martin Fagg, obviously at the conference, the RAND conference, was talking about this, and one of the things he highlighted is that savings are still, I think, at an all-time high level. Obviously, what happened during lockdown has continued, and it is about that sentiment, about getting those people to feel like they can spend a bit. That's going to be the biggest driver.
I think there's opportunities in any kind of market. It's just about learning who to speak to.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What you just said there, though, just quite interesting that you said that you thought that listings had fallen away. Are you talking about are you talking literally like November, December? Because clearly Chris Watkins has been highlighting, and he's been doing a good job of highlighting, swimming against the tide of Daily Mail, Daily Express and everything negativity. And he posts those listings, obviously.
Yeah, there's a lot. So he did actually, and so he'll talk about listings. He's also doing his top 1,000.
I think love it.
He did this morning, which is great. And it's lovely, actually, because he texted me over the weekend and he said that Normie, the agency that I'm most known for locally, they've gone from being in 2020 at position 9, something like 900. They're more like 400 today, which is, a great percentage increase. And it's calculated over volume of transactions that they're actually putting through. I think he has done great work taking boring data. Let's face it. Nobody.
20A is absolutely incredible, isn't it? But it's that point about data becoming information and becoming relevant.
How do you make it relevant? So I think he's managed to do that for agents. And I think so. To answer your question, there is a chat, isn't there, about volumes of transactions that actually go through.
Yeah.
So I think fewer transactions go through on average versus what happened 10 years ago. I think that's just a thing. So I think, instructions may be on the up, but I think transaction volume is always what we tend to sort of look at as estate agents.
Right, I'm asking the old black ball out, NostraWhaleus, as you tagged me. What's the biggest shock of 2026 going to be?
Venezuelan EXP agents. Waking up this week going, But it's an open market, people. Let's go.
Have you seen the EXP agent? I think it's a Canadian one that Chris
with the unicorn boards.
Look, I'm telling you now, Chris. That is so. I reached out to him, Mintzy, to see if he'll have a chat with us, because of course there is no purer kerfuffle agent out there at the moment than that. He's absolutely gloriously mental.
You know what? That is going to be my one tip for everybody this year. I don't know if that's one of your questions, but I thought about this. We've had the honor and the privilege to hang out with a great number of agents this year at many different things. And I think, and a lot of them have been those so-called sort of self-employed superstars as well. And what I would say to all of you is just, there is value in being a bit whaley, in being a bit different, in being a bit recognizable. And get a personality. If you can stand out in a very beige marketplace, but you need to bring your personality. You need to do something different.
Who's having that post? Literally, it is one of the XP agents. I think, or was it Toby talking about the personal brand versus corporate brand? And of course, personal brand always out trumps. I think I made the point that Tim Cook, funny enough, he's no Steve Jobs, yet he has far more followers than Apple itself as a brand. But if you've got a strong corporate brand and an individual brand, that's really hard to dislodge, isn't it? And I think people do need to get their head around that to make that work effectively. I always make that point, and I've probably bored people more than I should have on this. But even looking at lunatics like Trump and everything else, even with everything he does, I still believe he could do that thing he said, walk into Fifth Avenue, shoot someone, and it never falls, but his support base never falls below 30-35%. If you equated that into a market share on a corporate level, you'd be more than happy with 35%. So it is about don't be beige, isn't it? Essentially.
Yeah, don't be beige, and just remember that your true audience is listening. So your true audience, and just a reminder to all those self-employed agents, isn't other agents who hate their jobs and therefore want to become another self-employed agent. Your true audience are the people that need to move, are the people who you can help move. And I think they want to hear those success stories. They want to hear how you make a difference, and that's what they want. They don't necessarily want to hear about you picking up your kids at 3 p.m. from school, which is great and it's amazing, but it does not move the needle.
Why our true audiences too. But anyway, right. Last question then.
Come work at Kerfuffle. You can pick up your kids whenever you like.
Do it whenever, and other kids. Oh no, that's a bit.
Yeah, well, any kids you want. We're child catchers.
What are you most looking forward to this year? Obviously, Kerfuffle Conference, that goes without saying. But what else are you looking forward to? And this can be across the board. Doesn't have to do it to be property.
What am I looking forward to this year? I am looking forward to you start talking about Kerfuffle Conference, which I think is very exciting. I do like what you've got going on there. It's a little bit alternative.
Yeah, I like it. And I'll tell you what's alternative: having a full 6 months to plan
to actually plan it this time.
Yeah,
no, but it also looks like a great venue in terms of.
We weren't going to do we're going to do a special one on this, but actually we've decided to go, haven't we? Because so many people talk about, why does everything always have to be in London? And of course there is some very obvious reasons, but we have decided to go for the ICC, just down in Newport, isn't it? Which is the International Convention Centre there, which as a venue, I think Property Mark have used it for a few kind of their regional events. It is one of the world's best venues, and I think that's
I'll tell you what happened here. Whaley went to Wembley last year and went, it's Wembley, we've just got to have it at Wembley. It's iconic. He went to the ICC and it had a massive dragon outside it, and he went, it's got a dragon, end the discussion, we're going with it.
Chase the dragon is going to be our slogan, basically. We got Josh back as well, haven't we? That couldn't be more exciting about that. I mean, he just delivers time after time, doesn't he, for that?
No, I'm excited about this year. I'm also excited actually about I think there's a better focus on training, and that's what people want out of these conferences. They don't just want a slap on the back and a certificate. They want to come away with actionable knowledge and insights. And I think this year will be. We've already seen that step up over the past few years, and I think this year you're going to see that really come out a bit more.
Absolutely. And I think, because you said it, there are a lot of events there, but I don't take that actually as a negative. I know a lot of people do think like that, but I think I genuinely haven't been to one that I have been, underwhelmed by. I think some of them maybe as venues or whatever else don't work, but actually they all offer such very different things. Women in the estate agencies with the personal stories and everything else. The negotiator. There were some really great panels and discussions there. The Esters obviously did. Phil Spencer's been knighted, hasn't he, as well? Which is going to be.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Well, Property Mark, your invoice is going to get bigger this year, isn't it?
And look, EA Masters always has, the top quality different speakers. So I think if you go back,
the best of the best.
The best of the best. And we've got obviously coming up. I mean, obviously, I'm already desperate, but I think the Guild's got their conference in February. I always love the idea that you have
there's also a ton of regional events that are going on the whole time. So if you are one of those that doesn't like to go to London, or you get a nosebleed if you head towards Scotland, then all you need to do is stay put. There is a show coming to you, and I think that's a trend as well. Suppliers are seeing value in it because they get to have better, more intimate conversations with people. But I've been through the Property Mark Trust. I've been to a couple of the Property Mark regionals, which I've never been invited to previously. But it's interesting to see the mix of agents that you get in there. It's almost like a one-day conference. It's very, very focused on what they do, but it works. It works.
Christian's obviously just posting here the supplier meetup there. I don't recall having our invite, do we? Should we get rid of that?
The invites must have got lost in the post, just as I've never been invited on his Viking podcast.
Oh, that's a bit awkward, isn't it?
No, it's fine. It's fine. He calls me Sussy Pants for raising it with him, but I'm going to hold him to account. He's had everybody else on there.
Well, exactly.
I can cry as well.
Look, you can't do it now. You have to, who wants to be a member of a club that lets them in?
And then the next thing that Whaley made me do was, I could do that.
Where did he touch you?
I could do that. Where didn't he touch me, Christian?
Right, okay. Well, that's a wrap then. 2025 done and dusted. It's all geared up, isn't it? For
well, before we go then, because we've done a full hour, and as always, we've gone off piste, but very interesting, very eclectic, and you will not hear this on any other podcast.
Of course not.
Do give me though, because I touted NostraWhaleus, so you've been in PropTech for ages, and you know what kind of really annoys me and makes me laugh about you at the same time is that you famously consider yourself to be a property industry outsider. Yet by now you've worked in it longer than most of us.
3 decades, yeah.
3 decades, but you're still getting to grips with it. When you, given your experiences as an entrepreneur now, and so on, tell us what you predict for 2026 for the industry. Give us a few nuggets, and like Russell Quirt, we'll hold you to account at the end of the year.
Okay. Can we do that thing where I do 2 sets of predictions and then we play back the one that's right?
Yeah.
First of all, and this is no surprise, this is the safest bet ever. Mergers and acquisitions is going to be the absolute name of the game in both agency and in tech. What's interesting now is obviously agency's been ahead of the tech scene for some time now, but you're seeing real tectonic plates moving on the supplier side, aren't you? With mini groups putting together, loving what the IM property guys are putting together. Jamie and Ben there, some really, really great stuff going on there. Others getting into that scene, my old mob Repeat, obviously acquiring and working with the likes of PayProp and everything else. So I think that's just really, really interesting in terms of everything else. I do think this is the year that we'll start to see the proper green shoots of solving the biggest issue of all, of moving the pipeline. I do think, we are seeing, we mentioned Movely and people like that as well and everything else. There's some great work going out there from suppliers in particular, but agents obviously getting on board to make that work, isn't it? So was it Gareth Samples? I think he was making that point that, back in the day, you'd expect to turn your pipeline 3 or 4 times, and you're lucky if you can turn it a couple of times now. And clearly, whilst that's the case, it's obviously it's a tricky industry, isn't it, to make that work? So I do think that's the angle. And look, I'll just to bore you again off the back of it. This is the year that AI will start delivering true automation and game-changing productivity. So that is really, really going to start to be quite exciting again.
Very, very interesting. And are Liverpool going to win the cup this year?
Are they bollocks? No, so I've given up on that already. So I'm out. I'm out of that, which is great because it gives me back a whole new few hours in the week. Not obviously reading the papers and watching Match of the Day.
Super duper. Well, wishing everybody and also you, Mr. Whale, but everyone out there in the wider property industry world the most fantastic 2026.
See you soon, people. See you soon. Bye.
Have a healthy and successful year.
Oh God, we're gonna have to do the health thing.
No, the health. Do you know what? I'm a convert to this health as wealth thing.
Oh,
my recent experiences tell me that you can have everything you want in life, but if you haven't got mental health, big deal.
Well, I've got to
love you all. See you soon.